Ever since Nintendo announced the Switch 2 edition of Animal Crossing New Horizons, it's got me wondering, what is the next Switch 2 edition going to be? And then not only that, but how far is this going to go? So here's what I think is going to happen. I think that we are going to get Switch 2 editions for only the first 2 years of the Switch 2's life. This year already, we've had the 2 Zelda titles, Mario Party Jamboree, as well as Kirby's Forgotten Land. Sorry, I almost forgot the name of that. And I guess you could technically count Metroid Prime 4 because it's, it's co-launching with the Switch 2 edition and the original one. Oh, and I guess Pokemon Legends ZA. So there's been quite a few this year. Next year so far, they only have announced Animal Crossing New Horizons, which is, I think, obvious. It's the second best-selling Switch title. And so it's got me wondering, what are they going to pick next? Now, I think next year, we're probably only going to see a maximum of like 5 of these, probably including Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven. Those are probably going to both have Switch 2 editions as well. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll just get a free upgrade. I don't really know. Because the Switch 2 edition, I'll remind you, does sound like it includes not only performance patches, but also certain Switch 2 exclusive features that are not available on the original Nintendo Switch. So we'll go ahead and start off with the first title. There's going to be 3 I'm going to talk about here today. Number 1 is going to be obvious. It's going to be Smash Brothers Ultimate Switch 2 edition. This one to me is like a surefire, sure deal. Like, we're 100% going to be getting this title. Not only because the game sold immensely well and we want an upgrade patch for it, but Sakurai clearly has not been in development for the next Smash Brothers game for the Switch 2. I doubt we're going to be getting an exclusive Smash experience for this generation. It just doesn't make sense. You've got Smash Ultimate. It's sitting right there. It's totally fine. Just make it run better. Probably do like 120 frames. Not only that, but do all of the crazy online stuff, right? Like, you've got that chat button. Integrate that into it. I also think it'd be really cool is that if at the bottom of the screen, instead of like if I was playing as like Fox, instead of seeing the picture of Fox, you'd see like the video footage of me. Like, if you're using the Nintendo Switch 2 camera with it, it'd be like, oh, all of the video of your friends is at the bottom of the screen, so you could see each other's reaction while you're fighting. To me, that's an obvious pick. I really hope they wouldn't put your face in a little bubble next to your character. Like, that would be really lame. It'd be better to have a larger image of you at the bottom of the screen. So, I don't know. The big question for me, though, would be, would they include all of the DLC from Smash Ultimate on the Switch 2 edition? That would be kind of the kicker there. If I'm not mistaken, the Fighter Pass back in the day for Smash Ultimate was $14.99 a piece. That times 2 is 30, plus the original 60 is 90. I don't think they're going to want to sell a single individual game for $90. Especially because, they've been getting a lot of flack from other places about, well, you're charging $80 for Mario Kart World. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. I just looked this up. An individual Challenger pack costs $5.99, while the Fighter Pass Volume 1 was $24.99, and Fighter Pass 2 was $29.99. So if we did the math of that, which is 25 plus 30 plus 60 for the original, that's a $115 title. Yeah, they're probably not going to include the DLC, which is unfortunate because if they were to include the DLC, like if you had all of the costumes, all the fighters, all the stages, all the stuff on one Switch 2 cartridge, I would rebuy it. I would rebuy it to have the entire Smash Ultimate experience on one cartridge. That would be fantastic. Because, they're not going to get away with selling that for $80. That's $115. And they're like, no, we're leaving too much money on the table. So I think when they do it, my guess would be it's going to have no DLC All of that's going to be additional at the same cost as it was before. Clearly, obviously, if you've already bought it, you're going to get it to carry over, so it's not going to matter. But I think they're just going to up the frame rate. I think it's going to be 120 frames docked, 120 frames undocked, maybe with a 4K 60 option, but I think they're going to really push the 120 frames for Smash because it's a fighter title, so that's what they're really going to want to do. They're going to do some minimal online stuff, like I said, with the camera, but really not that much. They need to have a Smash Brothers game on the shelves for the entire Switch 2 generation. They can't get away with not selling a Smash title. So, to me, that's the obvious one. Number 2, I think they're probably going to sell us, and now this is going to be devastating to some of you out there. I think we're going to get a Switch 2 edition of Mario Maker 2. Now, the reason for... Whoop, I'm dropping stuff. The reason that I think we're going to get a Mario Maker 2 Switch 2 edition is because when I played Mario Maker 1, I thought Mario Maker 1 was fantastic. And I was so excited for the idea of a Mario Maker 2. However, when a Mario Maker 2 came out, it was less of a product than the first title. All of those amiibos and all of those like unlockable characters from Smash Ultimate, from Smash Brothers for Wii U, were not available anymore. Like, I guess they lost the license, they lost the rights to all of that stuff. So all those third-party characters like Sonic and all that crazy stuff was all gone. And that's why, to me, Mario Maker 1 for the Wii U was way better than Mario Maker 2. And I just don't think that they have any more ideas. Sure, they'll probably introduce maybe a Mario Wonder like skin pack where it's like, oh, now there's the Mario Wonder style, and it's like, oh, okay, great. Even though we are getting a Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition later on down the line as well. I wanted to throw that in there before I forgot. But yeah, I think later next year, probably around the holidays, they're probably not going to have any Mario stuff because they've kind of, released all of that this year with, Mario Galaxy and all that stuff. They've got to have something Mario, so my guess is probably around October, they're going to give a Mario Maker 2 Switch 2 Edition update, push an old Mario title to have something to sell, and that's just going to fill the Mario void for the holiday, unfortunately. Now, with that being said, I do think that they will probably have some cool Switch 2 Edition stuff with that. Obviously, improved frame rate, improved uploading and downloading speeds for courses. Also, I think it would be kind of a fun idea if you were to, like let's say I made a really hard course, right? And then I could go and look at that course and you can kind of watch people replay it. But if they had the camera, it'd be kind of cool to go people and watch the people rage at your course with their camera. So you're watching them and like, oh, he's doing that. And then he just freaks out when he dies, like, no. And you get to have that. Maybe you could share that clip with your friends of people losing it. I don't know. That would be kind of a funny idea, but I don't know. They may or may not do that because Nintendo's so careful with stuff with kids. So I don't know. I kind of think that would be kind of a funny, thing. But I hate to say it, but I would totally skip the Switch 2 edition of Mario Maker 2. I just don't think that I would really be that interested in it. Kind of a quick side note before I get into the third title that I think it's going to be. I just think that these Switch 2 editions are literally just to extend the life cycle of this game, right? They want Smash Ultimate to keep selling. They want Mario Maker 2 to keep selling, They want some of these old games to keep selling because they don't necessarily want to make a sequel right now for it. They got other stuff they want to do. So package it in a quick Switch 2 update, put it back on the shelves. It's good enough. It's fine. It's basically a port from last gen is my logic towards these Switch 2 editions. But anyway, with that in mind, a game that they definitely want to keep alive, I think, and I think a lot of you are going to be surprised to hear this, but I think the most likely game after Smash Ultimate to get the Switch 2 edition treatment is Ring Fit Adventure. We all kind of forgot about that game. We all forgot about Ring Fit Adventure. That game blew up, especially during the pandemic. That thing was impossible to get a hold of. And it did even better in Japan. I think in Japan it was the third best-selling Switch title of all time or something crazy. Like it sold ridiculously well. I had it. I played it for a while. It was cute, but I think that's another game that they're going to want people to come back to. And if they're like, we're going to sell a Switch 2 edition of that, and we'll even put it back on the shelves, and we're going to sell these little compatible things that will work with the new Joy-Con 2. Because that was one of the biggest issues that I saw moving from the Switch to the Switch 2 were the titles that required certain holders and needed the Joy-Con to work. Like, there's a little strap, for those of you that have not played Ring Fit Adventure, there's a strap that you put on your leg to measure when you're running, and also like if you're doing leg lifts or other exercises. And then the other one goes on a little band, like kind of like a big circle, like a ring, that you can stretch and squeeze and move, and all of the sensors and stuff pick up the movement from that ring. The problem immediately that I thought of when I saw the new Joy-Cons was like, well, it makes all of that hardware obsolete because you can't slide it on like the old Joy-Con. Now it's all magnetic. So I'm sure that they would say, well, we'll do a Switch 2 edition. Your save and all of your workouts from the last game will carry over. We'll add a new campaign to keep you playing, and we'll give you, the new strap for your leg as well as the new ring that'll attach magnetically, probably with some sort of safety thing on the top, because it's like without that physical slide on there, that thing's just going to fly off with that magnet, I would imagine. So there's got to be some kind of safety clip on there, some kind of new hardware that's going to keep that thing attached. But I could totally see them wanting to do that because I don't think you could get away with selling a Ring Fit Adventure 2 for like $70 by itself. I think that packing a new campaign in with the old stuff and carrying over the old saves and all that stuff, because some people played a lot of this. Some people probably have a couple years worth of workouts saved that they don't want to lose. And the idea of carrying that all over while buying the upgrade for the new game, although you're going to have to buy physical. You can't just do the digital because you're going to need the new. I guess you could market it and say you can use the old equipment if you want to, but we're going to sell it as a set, with the ring and the leg strap and the game like the original one. Plus, maybe they'll sell that other stuff individually. I don't know. See, this is where it gets complicated, where it's like they're going to have too many SKUs for one game, right? I don't know. I don't know exactly how they do it. I would assuming that they would just say, there's a digital upgrade. You can use your old Joy-Cons if you want. Also, you can buy the ring and the other thing, just those two pieces separate. So the leg strap and the ring by itself. Plus, you can buy the whole set if you want to start your brand new adventure for the first time. Like if this is your first time playing the adventure. So I could totally see them doing that. That's an easy thing just to put back on the shelves. It already sold amazingly well. I think if you were to try to just do a Ring Fit Adventure 2 with a new ring and a new campaign, and you've lost all of the old features from the first game, I don't think it would sell as well. I think building on the first game is the best way to go about that, because I would even kind of look at that, because I've got a lot of workouts and stuff saved from my last console that is just sitting there. I'm not doing anything with it. So I'm not saying that I would buy it, but it depends on what they would offer. How big is this new campaign? Is it as big or bigger than the last one? I don't know. But anyway, those are the three titles that I think are assured for Switch 2 editions. I'm honestly shocked that they said no to Pikmin 4. I'm very disappointed that Pikmin 4 is not getting a Switch 2 patch or edition. That's very disappointing. I was for sure we were going to get that. We are getting DLC for that later, but no improved frame rates, nothing like that. I don't know. Very disappointing. But anyway, what do you think? Are there any other games I left off that you think are surefire Switch 2 editions? I don't know. Like I said, I don't think they're going to do this for very long. Also, games like Metroid Prime Remastered and Metroid Dread, I think that games like that are just going to get a quiet, free update eventually, where it's like, hey, you enjoying Metroid Prime 4? Well, Metroid Prime Remastered now runs also at 120 frames on the Switch too. Also, Metroid Dread is now got improved frame rate patch for better performance as well. And those are just going to be free little things with no additional DLC until we get whatever the next 2D Metroid is going to be, which I'm very excited for. While I do love my Metroid Dread, when I do love my Metroid Prime, I do prefer the 2D Metroid Dread style game. So I love the 3D Prime, but I don't know. I got a soft spot for the 2D titles. Anyway, I'm going on a Metroid tangent now, probably because I just picked up the Amiibo today and they're awesome. But anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, take care of each other out there.